Hello, this is Michael Eure, and I'd like to invite you to the Michael Eure Show, featuring student hosts and very special guests talking about a variety of interesting topics. You can find us on the Eagle Stream YouTube channel. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Michael Eure Show. We're going to have some great guests today, and I'm going to quickly have everybody give a quick introduction. Of course, I'm Michael Eure, and I'm just going to call the names and just give us a brief. Jerry?
Hi, my name is Jerry Greene. I'm a cybersecurity major here at Wake Tech. Plan to finish in this summer, and I've been doing these streams with Michael Eure here.
All right, Johnette.
Hello, everyone. I'm Johnette Smith. I'm a career coach with our career services program.
Mauricio.
Hi, my name is Mauricio. I'm continuing education. Like to get into medical school someday.
Thank you. And Jackie, Dr. Swanik.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jackie Swanik, Associate Dean of Math and Science and the Program Director for the START program.
Hey, Michael, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Thank you, Jerry. All right, Sarah, can you put up the link for the Care Center really quickly? And we're going to put these in the chat for the audience if you want to get information. And this is just so students will know this is a link you can always go to get help. And right now it's saying COVID Emergency Fund, which is available for all students, but it's going to change, be updated. We do laptops, we have the wellness counselors, pathways, volunteer and leadership, the success coaches, the Nest Food Pantry, and Foster and Bright Future. So we can just put that in the chat. Just wanted to make sure y'all are aware. And then we can bring up the link for the START program. And I'm just putting this here. Jackie, Dr. Swanik is going to talk much, much more about it. But I don't know if she wants to comment on it while it's up right now, or should we wait until you get into your presentation?
No, this is perfect. Thanks, Michael. So that's our landing page for the START program. You can learn about the program, you can learn about the projects, and you can apply to the program all at the same spot.
Thank you. And do we have anything for career services that we can put up? Johnette might talk about for a minute. And if not, we can come back to that later. So we're going to, oh, you got it?
Yeah, you just pulled it up. Thank you. So just a little bit about career services. So first and foremost, through career services, we enable students to gain insight into potential careers. We assist not only prospective students, but we also assist alumni, our community overall, to help them with skills that are necessary for particular careers, and those who are already in the profession to kind of look at those jobs as well. We give them information so that students can kind of imagine themselves in that career, if you will, and we also encourage them to develop and work towards their career goals overall.
Thank you. A very important office. So now we're going to get into some questions so we can learn a lot. And we're going to start off with Dr. Swanik, but we want to probably bring you in, Mauricio, as we go along to talk about your experience as an intern. So Jackie, the first question, I'm going to kind of let Jerry ask you that, and then we're going to go around and we're going to have different people ask them in order. Go ahead, Jerry.
All right, the first question for you is, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to Wake Tech?
Sure. And if Sarah, if you want to go ahead and put the slides up, I've got some things that kind of help tell about my journey, but as she's kind of bringing that up, I am from North Carolina, so born and raised. The next slide, please. I went to Campbell University for my undergrad, and so go fighting camels in the big metropolis of Bowie's Creek. And from there, I'd been here in North Carolina all of my life, decided I wanted to see something a little different. So I went to UT Southwestern in Dallas, Texas for my graduate career. Had a really good time in the city, started thinking about having kids, decided I wanted to come back to North Carolina. And so from there, I went to UNC Chapel Hill for my postdoc. And so for my graduate career, I studied a particular protein involved in cancer. So I was really interested to try to figure out how cells grow so we know what goes wrong when cancer happens. And then at UNC, I decided I wanted to learn a little bit about the heart. And so I used frogs as a model system to figure out how cells know to become heart cells. But during that postdoc, I not only did research, but I got to teach. And I was taught how to teach. And that's where I caught the teaching bug. And I was like, this is what I really want to do. I love working in the lab, but I loved teaching more. And so I was looking for jobs and worked at a couple of different places part-time and got to a community college and really just fell in love with the community college students, fell in love with the purpose and the vision, and decided that this was where I wanted to stake my career. Wade Tech hired me 12 years ago, and I haven't looked back since. Up there, so you see Talon there. You also see my husband and my daughter. And a lot of people think it's interesting. I don't know how much I think it's interesting, but I live in Person County. That's where I was born. That's where I was raised. And that's where I moved back to. And people go, where's Person County? So that's why the map's up there. So that's me in a nutshell and how I got to Wade Tech.
All right, thank you. Mauricio, are you able to ask the next question, or should we get Johnette to do it?
Oh, actually, I can do the next one if you'd like, and I'll let Johnette do.
This one?
Yeah, this one.
Okay, go ahead, Johnette. You're muted.
I said, please forgive me. I do not see the questions.
Yeah, same here.
You're muted, Michael.
We're having a unmute party today.
Where are you?
Okay, so I'll just do that. Well, Jerry, you can see it, or no?
The next question?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
Go ahead.
Next question is, can you explain the purpose of the START program, and can you tell us a little bit about how Wade Tech secured funding for such a great internship?
Sure. And so Sarah, if you want to put up some slides. Basically, the purpose of START is a success and retention strategy. We talk about reach and rallying here. It is a rally approach. So the idea is that some students may not thrive in the classroom, right? Or so they may say, this isn't for me. I don't think that this is what I should be doing. But we put them in the lab, you get them doing the work that STEM professionals are doing, and they just come alive. And so you can see two of our students here. You can also see where they've gone. So we have Arlena, and she graduated with a bachelor's degree from UNC Chapel Hill in neurobiology. And Austin Yates was also one of our START students. Next slide, please, Sarah. And then again, we have two more students. And I'm really bad. I can't read the names, and I really just can't remember at the moment. But give me a second. Here we go. Oh, Marissa, that's right. I don't know how to forget Marissa. She's a senior at NC State, as well as Maheen Moyne, who actually went on to get her master's degree at Duke University. And so START is kind of flexible, and you can use it for whatever you need. And so I talked a little bit about students who use it to find that start of that spark or their start to get their career. You could use it to further your career and your resume. You could further it as a career exploration. So we have projects that go across the spectrum of STEM, and I'm going to talk about some of the projects here in a little bit. But from there, you could say, am I interested in geology? Let me try a geology project. Am I interested in math? Let me try a math project. And so you can just kind of cherry pick some careers and decide what it is that you really want. And so I'm actually going to let Mauricio say why he chose the START program and what he learned from it.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I think I think you said it well. I think the START program is really unique in that it kind of provides you with an opportunity to approach science from a different angle. And I certainly felt like I got to experience that. I thought it was really cool to kind of approach it and kind of think about things uh, a little bit more logically and more, use more application um, in the lab, which I think is I think it's really exciting. But the one of the great things that START provided me was with experience in career development. So it was a great opportunity, a great entry point into developing lab skills. And so through START, I was able to learn gel electrophoresis and PCR, and hopefully I'll get to further develop that in the future. So.
Thank you so much, Jerry. Mauricio, both of them, I'm the success coach, so I can mix them up. So Johnette, are you able to do the next question? If not, we're going to get back to you.
All right. The next question, are other faculty members, is that correct? Are other faculty members from Wake Tech involved in this National Science Foundation project?
They are, and I actually realized I forgot to answer the last part of that question. And so the funding that we have secured, excuse me, is from the National Science Foundation. And so we are super duper excited. We've been trying for a long time to get some grants and get some money. And finally, the National Science Foundation figured out that we had a good project and gave us some money. And then, Sarah, if you want to put up the slide about the faculty, I can show some pictures from the faculty. And so this past semester, which was the pilot semester for the NSF grant, we had 55 students. We had 20 mentors, and all of those mentors are Wake Tech faculty members. And so pictured here, we have Scott Nunez working with Kevin in the lab. And then we have off to the right, one of our former instructors and former mentors, Dr. Maria Fodry and Adam Clark. And they did a kind of an animal distribution type of project where they had a camera and they were looking how wildlife changed as we populated the North Campus. And so for some of us that have been here for a while, the North Campus used to have just a couple of buildings and we could actually see fox and deer on the campus. But now as we're starting to build, we're seeing less of those, but we're still seeing the squirrels and the chipmunks and the raccoons, but we can kind of look to see how the development of that part in our campus changes the wildlife. And in the middle, you have Dr. Ajit Dixit with one of his students, Andrew, and they've presented at a conference there. So yes, this is not a one-woman show by any strength of imagination. I tend to be the mouthpiece, but I have a whole team behind me, and those are the ones that actually do the work. Did you want to talk about your mentor? Or you see him?
Yeah, so it looks like, and I also got a question. I don't know if I should answer that now or wait till the end.
You can ask your question after you answer her question.
Okay.
Okay.
And sorry, Jackie, can you repeat that question?
And so we were just talking about the faculty mentors that you had, and so you just want to talk about your mentor a little bit?
Oh yes, Dr. Walsh. She was amazing. I think she really, not only did she kind of help with the developing that scientific approach and that the scientific methodology, I think she really also helped mentor kind of my attitude towards the because science can be a little bit frustrating. So I think she really helped with that, and I thought she was really awesome. Super knowledgeable about PCR and gel electrophoresis.
All right. And you had a question, Mauricio, and after you ask yours, somebody has one for you from the audience. So go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So how related my the START project was to my major or career? Yeah. So it was actually surprisingly, It was actually surprisingly relevant. So I was really lucky because I was specifically looking for like microbiology techniques like that. And as it so happened, when I got matched with Dr. Walsh, she was actually looking towards kind of using those skills in the those specific skills um, in the project. So I thought that was really great, and so hugely applicable when you look at different like lab positions and postings and whatnot. Those are some like highly valued skills. So yeah.
And thank you. And that was from Dr. Chris O'Riordan Aja, the department head for Associate of Engineering at Wake Tech. But I'm going to ask the next question, and you may have answered it already, Jackie. But could you talk a little bit about some of the projects from the different, how you paired up with faculty from like North Carolina A&T, North Carolina State, Duke, etc.
Sure. So Sarah, I have a slide about this one as well. And so with the grant, we were able to partner with UNC Chapel Hill, NC State, and North Carolina A&T. So this is about our faculty. This slide is more about our mentors. There we go. I can talk about this one. And so you'll see some of our projects had to do internally. So I've talked about those, some of those, and this is another one. So you have a picture of Luke, Jennifer, and Melinda Gibbs, and Aaron in the stream, and they're looking at the stream that's on the southern campus, and the students got to choose what they wanted to look at. So some students decided to look at the diversity in the stream and all the different types of little organisms that were in it. Some of them decided to look and see how the construction that they're doing right there on 540 will actually change the stream. And so that was a part where we said, okay, the project is aquatic flora and fauna, so aquatic animals and plants. And what is it that you're interested in? So the students kind of got to pick theirs. At the bottom there, you see Oswaldo Rodriguez in the lab. And his project was something that we did with NC Central when we first got started. And they were looking at the genetic factors that affect alcoholism and using fruit flies as a model system. And then you have Lauren up at the top, who worked with Erin Downey, and she did a science education project. And so she was looking at some of the labs that the people had put together, the faculty had put together for Bio 110, and trying to figure out if they were successful for the students, or if there was a better way to do it. And she used an online platform, so it's more of a science education research. If you'll go to the next slide, please, Sarah. And so some of our project examples, so on the left here, we have Kennedy Williams and William Ingram, and both of them were working with somebody out of Duke, looking at fingernail growth. And so you may be saying, why in the world would I care to measure like somebody's fingernails? That just sounds gross. But what they were looking at was kids and trying to figure out the health in kids. And so we know that the height of a child is directly related to their health. But you've probably seen kids before, right? And they can slouch and they won't stand up straight, or they stand up too straight, right? It's hard. Believe it or not, measuring their height is really pretty problematic. And so the researcher at Duke, it's been shown that your fingernails actually are an indication of your health. And so if you are healthy, your fingernails will grow. And if you're not healthy, your fingernails will not grow. But again, you can imagine that's pretty problematic if you are trying to measure from 1 week to another how much somebody's fingernails grow. And so these are both engineering students, Kennedy and William, and they were doing a 3D printing of a prototype that can measure it. So the idea is your cell phone would sit at the top. And so the cell phone would be at the exact same location every time. And you'd put your finger at the bottom and it could capture a picture. And then you would use software to measure the length. And so it seems kind of silly when I say fingernail growth, but at the end, what you're really trying to figure out is an indication of child health, and if they are getting all the nutrients that they want or not. And so obviously that's Dr. Rawls in the picture as well. And this is at our student showcase as he's showing them off. In the middle there, we have Sydney Baker, and she worked with people in the computer science department at NC State, and they were developing an app that does augmented reality to look at proteins so that students could be able to kind of visualize proteins and figure out how they work and being able to understand them better. And so this was using augmented reality in a Bio 160A class so that students could learn proteins better. And then the third picture we have is we had a project with the Duke Lemur Center that was mentored by Mindy Cottrell, where we were looking at the gut microbiome, so the bacteria of guts and lemurs. And you can actually look at their diet and look at their health depending on their microbiome, and trying to figure out in different seasons when they have different diets if they're the bacteria in their gut changes or not. And so students were able to, like I said, to work on these projects from the four-year institutions to really see how they can make an impact on the scientific community, right? And so that's one of the other really cool things I think about START is that you are doing research that is making an impact either in the broad scientific community. One that I don't have here is that we partnered with Piedmont Health, and they did some data analysis and some math. And so they were looking to figure out whether or not they should make their own CPR training program or whether or not they should send their employees out to get trained for CPR. And so they were directly related to a business decision that healthcare organization would make. And so these projects are not, they're not fluff projects. They're really causing a change in businesses and in the scientific community. Mauricia, you want to talk a little bit about your project because I don't have yours up here.
Sorry. There we are. So mine was DNA barcoding. And so the short explanation of that is just as rapid species identification through segments of DNA. And so I was working towards enhancing that, like you said, that kind of hoping to kind of enhance that sort of technology for fungi. And so what I did is I went ahead and collected fungi around North Carolina, and went ahead and processed the DNA, and I was able to find that DNA segment and register it towards in a database that could be used by anyone else to help identify that fungi. So it's pretty cool.
Jerry, can you ask the next question?
Right. When are the application deadlines, and how do students who would like to apply to the START program?
Sure. And so, Sarah, I have a slide about this as well. So applications are open. They close at noon on June the 30th. There are no GPA requirements, right? And so that is very intentional. The requirements for the program is that you aspire to transfer to a four-year institution and that you are interested in STEM. I have the picture of the website that Sarah and Michael brought up at the beginning. And so you go to stem.waketech.edu. You can navigate to START there on the left-hand side. And then once you get to the START, the very bottom, that bright blue banner has apply, and you click there and you can fill out the application. But before we move on, I kind of want to back up a little bit, if you don't mind, Michael, and kind of, Sarah, there is there's a slide in there that talks about Osvaldo Rodriguez and gives some quotes. And so as she's getting to that slide, Osvaldo was a student that we had. It was in the very beginning of START. So START began in 2016. We were unfunded, but he joined us, and he went to state. And he wrote a blog. He started a Hispanic student STEM organization, and he wrote a blog. And these are some of the quotes from his blog. And I just think this is so powerful, and it helps students to understand maybe why they should apply. And if they're like, this isn't for me, I think Osvaldo will help you to see that this program is for anybody that is interested in STEM. So as Waldo says, I'm the first generation low-income student, and things were very difficult growing up. There was a lack of understanding of how college actually worked and what kind of sacrifices a student in my position would have to make. My family and I really didn't understand how to navigate the system. But engaging in scientific research not only bolstered my academic confidence, but it gave me a sense of purpose and belonging that classroom work alone could not account for. And then it took a team of people to develop the program and recognize that academic success and ingenuity take different forms and expresses itself in different ways. They recognized that the success of the program relied on recruiting students from all walks of life in different disciplines. He goes on to say that one of the greatest resources and sources of inspiration I had at Wake Tech was the research program. And that picture right there is of Osvaldo in Washington, D.C. And so Osvaldo and I were able to go to Washington, D.C. with Richard Sellens, who used to be the Dean of Sponsored Programs, and talk to Congress about the START program. And so again, joining the program, you get to do a little bit of research. A lot of our students are finding, like I said, their confidence and go on to do amazing things that they never really thought of. Osvaldo is now in graduate school at NC State pursuing a PhD. And so this program is geared to everyone. Again, there's no GPA. We really want it to be inclusive. We want people to come try out STEM and see what it is and how it goes. Mauricio, you want to say anything to this one?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I touched on this a little bit earlier, but you really don't get this opportunity to explore STEM in this way. Doing actual research is completely different from in the classroom. So I think it really does kind of help, help you develop a different perspective and kind of, I guess, train of thought or methods to science. So I think it's really cool.
Yes, and I did have another student named Taj Hewitt, but he could not be with us today. He's from Jamaica, and he actually went back to help his family on the farm. But he certainly talked about the great experience that he had with the program. So Jackie, I know that you kind of alluded that the program is for students interested in STEM, but does interest mean I really don't know, but I want to explore? Is that also interested?
Sure. And so you can have an AA, you can be on the AA track, the AS track, the AE track, the AAS, any of our AAS tracks, as long as you're looking to transfer to a four-year school. And so the way that our current grant is written with the National Science Foundation, we are trying to help students to make that pipeline and to transfer. So you do have to aspire to transfer to an institution, and all of our projects are STEM focused. And so if you're not interested in STEM, you're probably not going to find a project that you really want to commit to. But if you're like, yeah, playing in the stream kind of sounds cool, maybe I'll try it, then come on. The selection may be something that students are questioning. And so the way that we are currently set up is it is a random selection. And so 50 students will be selected, again, completely at random. And so it doesn't really matter what your GPA is. It doesn't matter what experience you are. You are just as competitive as anybody else.
All right, we have one more question in the chat, and we're down to the very end. And this is from Akeem, who used to be an ACA professor at Wake Tech. And I know he's a graduate of Elizabeth City State University, and he got his master's at North Carolina Central. And I know it's biology and chemistry. So his question, would you like to read that, Mauricio or Jared? Either one.
I'm fine with reading it.
Go ahead.
Akeem asks, how can other four-year institutions collaborate with START?
Sure. And so if you're a graduate at NC Central, you may want NC Central. We are hoping to expand there. Like I said, one of our first projects was at NC Central. We actually have a project from Fayetteville State. We haven't found a student for it yet, but we have a project. And so anybody that you know that's interested in collaborating with us, we are very, very excited about collaborating. Right now, as we're getting started, how we are collaborating is we are using the projects from the four-year institutions in their labs, and our students are working on them here at Wake Tech. They're mentored by a Wake Tech faculty member. The people at the four-year institutions can be as heavily involved or as hands-off as they want. But the kind of the first foot in the door is that we work on one of their projects, because that's the interesting thing, right? Is that students here at Wake Tech in their first or second year can actually work on a research project from a four-year institution that a lot of the freshmen and sophomores that are at the institution aren't even able to work on. It's usually their junior, senior year before they're really doing research like that. So tell them to contact them. We are open to collaborating with anybody.
Thank you. And we are really down to the end. And I want to take this opportunity to say thank you so much. And I really appreciate your emphasizing that the AAS, the Associate of Applied Science degrees, also apply, because a lot of people at Wake Tech and other places do not recognize that those are really degrees, and they do transfer. They just happen to have certifications with them. So I appreciate that it's open to them as well. So now I would like to, and I know that Mauricio, you think that we always like you to go first, but I'm gonna not make you go first this time. We're gonna go with Jerry, then Johnette, and then you, and then Jackie, just to give us your closing thoughts about this session. And if you have a closing question, you can ask. And if we go over a little bit, we'll just go over a little bit. Go ahead, Jerry.
All right, I don't have a lot to say. I just want to thank Jackie and Mauricio for coming on and talking about the SMART program, because until about a week ago, I didn't even know SMART program existed personally. So it's nice to hear that Wake Tech has these cool programs going on for students.
All right, thank you. And Johnette?
So as always, it's a pleasure to be a part of this platform, and thank you so much again for sharing all that information. One of the greater takeaways is just knowing how we can better assess or help students to assess their career possibilities, and this is just one of many options. And so thank you so much.
Mauricio.
Yeah, I think one of the best parts about START was just that access and opportunity. It's really hard to start building something when you don't have experience. So that's just like the ultimate thing, and I think it really is. It can only really help further anyone in their career and path. So
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm going to beg you to come back and talk to students and help recruit for START, because we need students that have participated to make sure other students are not so intimidated by the process. All right, Dr. Swanik, you get the final word.
Again, I just want to emphasize that this program really is for everyone. So it doesn't really matter what your GPA is, your experience. We're open. We want you. We are begging students to apply for the program. And since I'm a biologist, I love STEM. I really want to just share the love of science and the love of STEM with everyone. So if you have any questions, you're welcome to email us at startinternship info@waketech.edu, or you can just email me directly. Either way works. So I'd love to hear from you and see your application in our pool.
Thank you. And everyone, you can share this with whomever. It'll be on the internet perpetually. And we'll see you next time.